The power of repetition is one of the most overlooked and underestimated tools for personal transformation. Most people are looking for a breakthrough, a sudden change, a moment that flips everything. But real, lasting change doesn't happen like that. It's not flashy. It's not instant. It's about showing up, doing the work, and repeating that work every single day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Repetition is the foundation of everything you want to achieve. Whether it's building confidence, mastering a new skill, changing your mindset, or developing new habits, the only way to make those changes stick is through consistent. If you spend your days repeating negative thoughts, doubting yourself, making excuses, and backing away from opportunities, your brain wires itself to make that your default behavior. And here's the kicker: you don't even notice it. It becomes automatic. You go on autopilot, stuck in a cycle you didn't choose but unconsciously reinforced. That's the power of repetition. But here's the good news: it works both ways. You can use the same mechanism that has kept you stuck to break free and move forward. You can rewire your brain to think differently, act differently, and respond differently, but only if you commit to repeating new behaviors until they become your new normal. Think about anything you've ever gotten good at: reading, driving, cooking, speaking, even walking, speaking. None of that happened in one day. You didn't master it in a week. You practiced it over and over again. You failed. You adjusted, you repeated, and eventually it became second nature. That's how change works. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be persistent. The same applies to mindset. If you want to become more confident, you have to practice thinking confidently every day. You have to speak to yourself in a new way. You have to show up for yourself even when it's uncomfortable. You have to repeat the behavior of a confident person long before you feel confident. And eventually you will feel it. Because repetition doesn't just train your brain, it transforms your identity. The more you repeat a behavior, the more you begin to believe that this is who you are. That belief is powerful. That belief is what creates momentum. This is why watching motivational content daily, reflecting on your goals daily, and taking small, consistent actions every day can be so powerful. It's not just a feel-good practice, it's mental training. Every time you repeat something positive, every time you repeat action in the direction of your goals, you are literally reshaping your brain. You're building new neural pathways. You're telling your brain, this is who I am now. This is what matters to me. This is what I do. This is what I do. But let me be clear. Repetition is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's not going to get applause or attention. It's waking up and doing the same small things even when no one's watching. It's choosing to push play on the motivational video again. It's choosing to write the plan down again. It's choosing to speak kindly to yourself again. It's showing up when you don't see results yet. It's trusting the process enough to keep repeating it. Knowing that every repetition is getting you closer to the version of yourself you were meant to be. Here's what I want you to understand. If your life isn't where you want it to be, it's not because you're not capable. It's not because you lack motivation. It's because you haven't repeated the right behaviors long enough for them to take root. Change is not a one-time event. It's a repeated decision. Every single day, you are voting for the kind of person you want to become. And those votes add up. They form habits. They form beliefs. They form results. So if you want to change your life, don't chase motivation. Chase repetition. Pick one thought, one action, one behavior, and do it again and again and again. Do it until it feels strange not to do it. Do it until it becomes automatic. That's when the real transformation happens. Not because you tried once, but because you trained every day. Repetition is the secret. It's the science. It's the truth no one wants to hear because it sounds too simple. But it works, and the moment you commit to it, your life begins to change. One day, one habit, one repetition at a time. You are not stuck. You're not broken. You are simply operating from patterns that your brain has learned to repeat. That's the power and the promise of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the scientific term for your brain's ability to change and adapt throughout your life. For decades, people believed that once you reached adulthood, your brain was fixed, that who you were was who you'd always be. But research has proven that's not true. Your brain is not a hardwired machine. It's a living, adaptable system. It constantly reorganizes itself based on your experiences, your focus, and most importantly, your habits. This is why what you do every single day matters so much. Because you are not just living your life, you are literally shaping your brain as you live it. When you do something repeatedly, whether it's a thought, an emotion, or a behavior, your brain creates and strengthens neural pathways to support that pattern. Think of it like walking through tall grass. The first time you push through, it's hard. But the more you walk that path, the more defined it becomes. Eventually, it's a clear trail. That's exactly what happens in your brain. If you consistently think negative thoughts, procrastinate, or avoid challenges, your brain becomes wired to expect and repeat those patterns. And this is where the power lies, you can create new pathways. You can choose a different pattern. You can practice a new way of thinking, a new response to stress, a new habit of action, and with time, that new path becomes the one your brain prefers. Habit formation is how neuroplasticity becomes real in your daily life. Every habit you have, good or bad, exists because your brain has learned that it's efficient. It conserves energy. It feels familiar. But habits don't care if they're helpful or harmful. They just repeat what they've learned. So if you've developed a habit of scrolling on your phone the moment you wake up, of saying, I'm not good enough, or putting things off until later, that's not a character flaw. That's a learned pattern. And because your brain is plastic, meaning changeable, you can unlearn it. You can teach it something new. Changing a habit begins with awareness. You have to notice what you're doing and why. What are the cues? What are the triggers? What feeling are you trying to escape or create? Once you see the pattern, you can start to interrupt it. And interruption is the first step to rewiring. Instead of reacting the same way, you insert a moment of choice, a pause, a decision. You might not get it right every time. That's okay. The act of trying, of noticing and choosing again is how the rewiring happens. Every attempt is a repetition, and repetition is what transforms the brain. Daily exposure to motivational and empowering content plays a powerful role in this process. Because when you hear something repeatedly, especially something that challenges your old patterns, it starts to override the old programming. Your thoughts begin to shift. Your beliefs begin to shift. You start to question the stories you've been telling yourself. You start to think, maybe I can do this. Maybe I am capable. Maybe I'm not who I used to be. That's the power of intentional repetition in the context of neuroplasticity. It's not about faking it or pretending everything is great. It's about feeding your mind with thoughts that align with who you want to become, and doing it consistently enough that your brain begins to believe it. And this doesn't just happen in theory. It happens in real, measurable ways. Brain scans have shown that when people learn new skills or change their thinking patterns, the structure of their brain literally changes. New connections form. Old ones weaken. The brain becomes more efficient at the new behavior. This is why it's never too late to start. It doesn't matter how long you've been stuck or how many times you've failed. As long as your brain is alive, it can change. But it won't change if you only do something once. It won't change if you wait until you feel like it. It changes through repeated, consistent action. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to commit to small daily steps. Start with 5 minutes. Start with one new thought, one habit, one shift, and repeat it. Even when it feels silly, even when it feels hard, especially then. Because those are the moments your brain is learning the most. That's when change is happening under the surface. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. What once felt foreign becomes familiar. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal. That's not magic. That's neuroplasticity in action. And it means that no matter who you are, where you've been, or what you've struggled with, you have the ability to change your mind, your habits, and your life. You just have to give your brain something new to believe and repeat it until it becomes real. Inside your brain is a tiny but powerful network called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. Most people have never heard of it, but it plays a massive role in shaping how you see the world, what you focus on, and ultimately, how you live your life. The RAS acts like a filter. At any given moment, your brain is receiving millions of bits of information, sounds, sights, sensations, thoughts, and more. But your conscious mind can only process a tiny fraction of that. So how does your brain decide what to pay attention to? That's the job of the RAS. It's your brain's gatekeeper, constantly scanning the environment and filtering in what it thinks is important based on what you've told it is important. Whether you did that intentionally or not, this means that what you focus on repeatedly becomes what your RAS prioritizes. If you constantly think negative thoughts, I'm not good enough, life is hard, nothing ever works out for me, then your RAS filters the world in a way that supports that narrative. It starts noticing evidence that confirms those beliefs, while ignoring the opportunities or positives that contradict them. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to keep you consistent with what you believe. Your brain wants to be efficient, so it looks for patterns. And once it identifies a pattern, whether it's helpful or not, it locks in on it. But here's the good news. You can retrain your RAS. You can consciously redirect your focus. And over time, your RAS will start to support that new direction. This is where daily intention comes in. Every day, you need to tell your brain what matters to you. You need to declare your goals, your values, your priorities. You need to feed your mind with the kind of thoughts and information that align with the life you want to create. And when you do that consistently, your RAS will begin to work for you, not against you. Let's say you set a clear intention to become more confident. At first, your RAS might resist because it's been wired to notice all the moments you've been anxious or unsure. But if you keep showing up every day and reinforcing that intention, by watching content that builds you up, by writing affirmations, by taking small, courageous actions, your RAS will start picking up on moments of strength instead. It will start highlighting experiences that confirm you're becoming more confident. You'll begin to notice opportunities you didn't see before, simply because you told your brain to look for them. This is also why visualization is such a powerful tool. When you visualize yourself succeeding, when you imagine what it feels like to hit your goals, you're sending clear signals to your RAS. This is important to me. This is what I want to focus on. And your RAS responds by making those images and opportunities more visible in your daily life. This isn't about magic or wishful thinking. It's neuroscience. Your brain wants to deliver what you expect, so give it better expectations to work with. It works the same way with gratitude. When you make a habit of noticing what's good in your life, your RAS begins to highlight more things to be grateful for. Instead of scanning for problems, it starts scanning for blessings. And that shift in focus doesn't just change your perspective, it changes your experience. Because your brain is shaping your reality based on what it thinks matters, you have the power to choose what matters. This is why what you consume first thing in the morning is so important. If you wake up and immediately fill your brain with stress, fear, comparison, or doubt through social media, news, or negative self-talk, you've already told your RAS to look for more of that throughout the day. But if you start your day with intention, with motivation, with a clear vision, you've programmed your brain to support your goals from the moment you get out of bed. The RAS doesn't judge. It doesn't evaluate whether your focus is helpful or harmful, it just obeys. And that's what makes it so powerful. It means you are in control. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the director of your focus. And when you choose that focus with intention, your brain begins to change what you notice, how you respond, and the results you create. So if you want to change your life, start by changing what you tell your brain to notice. Train your RAS like a muscle. Feed it with focus, clarity, and purpose. Watch something positive every morning. Write down your goals. Remind yourself what matters. Over time, your brain will stop filtering the world through fear, limitation, and doubt, and start showing you the people, paths, and possibilities that were always there, just waiting for you to notice. The first thing you consume in the morning has more power over your day than you realize. It's not just about routine, it's about programming your brain. This is where a concept called cognitive priming comes in. Cognitive priming is a psychological principle that explains how exposure to certain stimuli influences how you respond, think, and behave afterward. In simple terms, whatever you put into your mind first acts as a primer that sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start your day with negativity, distraction, or fear, your mind gets primed to continue seeking out those things. But if you begin your morning with clarity, intention, and motivation, you're giving your brain a powerful signal. This is the direction we're heading today. Your brain is like a sponge in the morning. Right after you wake up, your mind is in a highly impressionable state. This is because your brain moves through different types of brain waves throughout the day. And in the moments right after waking up, it lingers in what's called the theta and alpha states. These are the brainwave patterns associated with creativity, suggestibility, and learning. It's the same state your brain enters when you meditate or deeply visualize. This means that what you think about, listen to, or watch during these early moments actually sinks deeper. It doesn't just pass through your mind, it imprints on your subconscious. So if you start your day by picking up your phone, checking email, scrolling social media, or stressing about everything that could go wrong, you've already primed your brain to operate from a reactive, anxious state. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine starting your day with intention. Instead of reacting, you choose to feed your mind something that aligns with your goals. You read an affirmation, you watch a short motivational video, you listen to something uplifting or empowering. You remind yourself who you are and where you're going. In those moments, you're planting seeds. And what you plant first has the best chance to grow throughout the day. That's cognitive priming in action. You are setting the foundation for your mindset, your focus, and even your emotional state. And this doesn't have to take hours. Even 5 minutes of intentional focus in the morning can shift your entire day. You're not doing it for a short burst of motivation. You're doing it because it influences what your brain looks for and how you interpret the world. When you prime your brain with clarity and purpose, your decisions throughout the day start to align with that energy. You're more likely to take action, to stay grounded, to respond instead of react. You become less driven by impulse and more driven by intention. This is why high performers, elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and thought leaders all have morning routines. It's not about being trendy. It's about being strategic. They understand that the first thoughts of the day shape the rest. That's why they start with gratitude, goals, journaling, visualization, or mindset work. They're not waiting for the day to tell them how to feel. They're telling their brain how to show up. If you want to create real change in your life, you can't leave your mindset to chance. You must take control of how you prime your mind. And the morning is your most powerful window to do that. What you put in is what you get out. If you begin your day in alignment with your values and your vision, you're going to make decisions that reinforce that alignment all day long. On the other hand, if you wake up and immediately flood your brain with stress, doubt, or distraction, you've built your day on a shaky foundation. It's important to realize that priming is not just about what you avoid. It's about what you choose. You're not just trying to block out negativity. You're trying to feed your brain with thoughts, words, and images that reflect the kind of life you're building. It could be a sentence you read, a voice you listen to, a journal prompt you write, a question you ask yourself. How do I want to feel today? What matters most right now? What's one thing I will do today that brings me closer to my goal? You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it intentionally, day after day, thought after thought. The more you practice cognitive priming, the more natural it becomes. It shifts from being a habit to being part of who you are. And when that happens, your entire reality starts to change, not because the world is different, but because you've trained your brain to see it differently. That's the power of starting your day with intention. It's not just a good idea, it's a strategy backed by science. A strategy that, if repeated consistently, can completely transform your life. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they take action. They sit around hoping to feel ready, inspired, or confident before they start the project, go after the goal, or make the change. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Motivation is not what gets you moving. Action is. Motivation is a feeling, and like all feelings, it comes and goes. It's unreliable. You can't build your future on a fleeting emotion. If you do, you'll always be waiting. You'll talk yourself out of things before you even begin. You'll convince yourself you're not ready, not good enough, not qualified, and the cycle will repeat. over and over again. That's why successful people don't wait for motivation. They act first and let motivation catch up. Your brain is wired to protect you from discomfort. But when you reflect and express gratitude, you remember what matters. You remember who you're becoming. And that reminder gives you the energy to keep going. Because progress isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most more often. And you can't do that without stepping back and getting clear. Daily reflection and gratitude are like mental hygiene. Just like you wouldn't skip brushing your teeth, don't skip checking in with your mind. Don't skip the opportunity to notice what's going well. Don't miss the chance to acknowledge how far you've come, even if you're not where you want to be yet. You are further than you think, stronger than you feel, more capable than you realize. And you see that clearly when you slow down, even for a moment, and pay attention. Start with one small question every day. What am I learning about myself right now? Then ask, what am I thankful for today? Write it down. Say it out loud. Reflect on it during a walk. However you do it with intention. Because when you live your life with awareness and appreciation, you unlock a kind of momentum that doesn't depend on external success. It comes from the inside. It's steady, it's grounded, and it keeps you moving in the direction of the life you're here to build. One reflection at a time. One moment of gratitude at a time.